Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another live stream. How's everyone doing? I see we got a few people in here. What's up, guys? What's up? Hey, Carl. Abdullah, what's up, man? 9 p.m. for you. Where are you at, Abdullah? Where are you at? And Carl, 3 p.m. North Carolina. So, I just wanted to hop on here and do another stream. I'm hoping to start streaming quite a bit more. They're a lot of fun. I really enjoy them personally. And I'm just excited, really excited. So, I got a couple cool things I want to talk about. We can get into a tutorial or two if you guys are interested. On the topic of tutorials, I did drop a brand new tutorial today. If you haven't checked that out, please do. It's pretty cool. It's kind of it's an effect. It's Ed Marlowe's open prediction, but I talk about using it more as a force because I think actually it's more of just like a glorified force, and using that force for your revelations is actually a really great force to use for all kinds of different card revelations and that sort of thing. And then I talk about how to clean it up using an actual really nice triumph effect. So okay, we got a bunch of people, different time zones here. I love it. Bring everyone together. We got some people. So Abdullah in Syria, what's up? What's up? James, how's it going, James? Hope you're doing well over there, 8 p.m. in the UK. You know, I feel like this is a decent time. I've been testing out different times to live stream. This is a good time because it's like middle of the day for people over in Canada and the States. And then it's like late, but not too late in some of the eastern countries in the UK and that sort of thing. So I feel like this is a pretty good time to do it. So what's up, Leonard? How you doing, my man? Leonard, actually, your question from last live stream about, was it you? I think it was you who asked about when to know if a trick is ready to perform, or how do you know, like, once you create something that is good to show to spectators. I'm going to make a full video on that because I love the question so much, and I'm probably going to make another, like a Dear Magicians, that new series I started, so I'll probably do a video on that because I really like that question. So yeah, thanks for that, because I feel like I still didn't give the greatest answer in the last live either, and so yeah, how's everyone doing today, man? I'm feeling good. You know, got not too much on the schedule today. I got a football practice tonight at about 8:30. I play on a competitive tackle football team, not soccer for my people in other countries. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Big practice tonight. It's game week this week. Big game on Saturday. So yeah, if anyone cares about football, I am a receiver. So. But let's get back to magic now, shall we? Can I start with a tutorial, Abdullah? Oh, yeah, Leonard, it's going to be a good video. I have to actually spend some time thinking about it because it's such an in-depth question. Can I start with a tutorial? I can start with a tutorial. Let's see. What do I have? I feel like each of these tutorials are slightly, I don't know, I have two ideas of stuff we can go over, and they're a bit more in-depth, so I don't want to jump into them too quickly. Dawn, what's up? What's up, Dawn? Finally getting your multi-card controls. Yeah. The I can touch on another shift. It's a little harder though. I think the one in that video is like a super accessible multi-card shift. So if you guys don't know, we're talking about the shift where you kind of shift the cards through the deck and you get a little a jog of the cards at the back, and then there's a couple different ways to do it. My favorite would be to kick back part on the bottom, and then you strip everything out and throw it on top, and it just looks like a strip cut from the back. So Dawn was kind of asking about those multi-card shifts and if I can teach some more. So I am going to teach one soon. I haven't even taught the single card version, but there's two. So I think actually, no, I have taught the straddle pass, right? So I am going to make a video on a multi-card straddle pass, but more difficult. I really think those shifts that I've already taught in that video are probably the most accessible multi-card shifts, and ones that don't involve a switch beforehand, right? They're actually a control, because there are lots of multi-card shifts that, you know, you switch out the cards beforehand and then you go into them, and those are great as well. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to make some more videos on those. I am going to be teaching the straddle pass one. Then I also have a shift of mine similar to Madison's, like Susan shift or whatever he calls it. But I have one I call the strike shift that goes straight into a cop, and it's slightly different mechanics. And you can do that really nicely with multiple cards too, and that's how I always, get multiple cards into a palm. So I'm gonna talk about that eventually. They are more difficult though, like I said. And I really feel like that one that I've taught is already really accessible. So keep working on that. I also have a Hindu shuffle multiple shift where you can kind of go like this, and you can actually, same idea, right? So let me show that from the top. You push the cards through the deck into this jogged position, then you hold it like a Hindu shuffle, and if you start stripping, you'll actually strip out the cards in between all of those cards, and they'll end up on top. So that's just a quick idea you can play with. Haven't taught it yet, but what else we got? Have you ever had anyone that you're performing a trick to that only seems that you're gonna mess up? How do you do with that? Have you ever had anyone that you're performing a trick for that only seems to want you to mess? Okay, so like a heckler. Yes, we're going to be talking about hecklers in a second. Okay, we're going to get into hecklers. James, I see you killing your spectators with Shuffleboard. Yes, Shuffleboard, man. As you know from our lesson, Shuffleboard is ridiculously killer. And you saw in my most recent performance. Oh, we're getting a bit of lag here. Hopefully the lag's not too bad. I see it now. Let me know, guys. I'm still working on this whole live stream thing. I reduced the quality, hoping it would be better today, but I don't know. I'm on one laptop. It's a little bit older, so I probably need to upgrade and get a better processor. But we're going to make do with what we have for now. Hopefully it's okay and bearable. Anyway, Shuffleboard, yeah, super killer. And James, you can see from the recent performance how killer the phone version is. I taught you that, where you can send the prediction through the cell phone. Probably will make a video on that eventually. I'm not sure what the I almost said the legality, but the what's the word? There's a word I want, but anyway, if it's right, if I'm allowed to teach Shuffleboard yet, I have to look into the the word I'm looking for. I have to look into the ethics of teaching Shuffleboard. If that's something I can teach, I'm not positive I can teach that on the channel. I know Simon Aronson, it's in his book, so I don't know. I think I have seen some Shuffleboard tutorials before, but again, they might not be the most ethical tutorials. So again, I'm not sure where that stands on the board of ethics yet. I try to always be ethical with my teachings the best that I can. Yeah, but Shuffleboard, super killer effect. It is like one of the only effects that I do with any kind of setup, just because it's worth it, right? It's worth it, and I can get into the setup on the fly using the cull, or even just right in front of people, right? Yeah, Carl, copyright ethics. Yeah, I was looking for that word exactly. It's lagging a bit. Okay, it looks like it's a bit better now. I can kind of see the stream slightly ahead of you guys. So we might get a few periods of lag, but I think overall it'll be decently smooth, I hope. So today, let me get to a few of the topics at hand. Okay, first thing, I want to give you guys a little sneak peek for you guys who are in here. What's coming on the channel? I always like to start the lives with that. So I have a Mentalism 101 episode 4 video filmed. That is going to be on... What's the topic? Your process. Okay, so why you need to have a process and how to find your process. So your process is the idea of, there's the method, what you're doing to read their mind, right? Whether it's a peek or whatever. But then there's your process, what the spectator believes is how you're reading their mind. And you need that to keep away from the actual method and to add some credibility. You need something that when they see it, they'll say, that's how he's doing it. It can be anything. It could literally be, I have to chug this whole water bottle before I can read your mind. As long as that's what you do every time you're going to read someone's mind. So quick examples are like, some people, they need to take the person's hand. They need to have them repeat it in their head. snap all the time, right? So things like that. So we'll talk about that in that video. Then I have a original control of mine coming called the On the Run control, something that I love very much. And when we go down to the card table, if I remember, I can give you guys a quick demo of what that looks like. So that'll be coming. That video is filmed as well. And then I will be bringing some performance breakdowns to the channel. I think they'll be very helpful for you guys. I can talk about, you know, even a lot of the videos I put out, there are times when things have went wrong, and I can explain how I cover those. You can get a look at some of the effects I've taught on here and how they play and how I handle all kinds of different situations, hecklers, all that stuff. So I'm going to start doing some performance breakdowns. And then I have finally initiated my new series called the Sleight Fight. Different from the Sleight Off. The Sleight Off I'm hoping to bring back soon, but the Sleight Fight is something very special, brand new, never before done on YouTube. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it involves non-magicians, and it involves a competition that you guys get to participate in and kind of vote in. So we're gonna leave it at that. The Sleight Fight hopefully coming in about, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a month of filming and then editing, so over a month. But hopefully by early October it'll come out. I know it's a big project, but it's gonna be a lot of fun, I hope. So Sleight Fight. I also filmed a bunch of new street magic last Saturday. I have 5 videos. I filmed for I was downtown for 4 hours. I filmed 2.5 hours of raw footage, and I've now edited it into 5 15-minute videos. They're super awesome, some of my favorites of all time, so those are going to start coming out probably next week. So I'm excited for those. And yeah, what else? Perfect. So I think that's the main deal for the new videos that are coming. So, oh, Leonard. So Leonard's asking about the private lessons. So let me give you guys a little bit on that. That's a great topic. So Leonard, actually Jamz, who's in the chat right now, I've done a couple of lessons with Jamz. Jamz is a great guy, and so if you need any reviews or you want any personal recommendations, you can talk to Jamz, and I have a few testimonies on my website as well. So how the private lessons work? They are about an hour, but realistically, you can ask Jamz, you can ask any of the people I've had lessons with in the past. They always go to like an hour and a half, 2 hours at no extra charge, because I really want to make sure you get the most out of it, and I don't cut anything short. So if we need to go over time, we need to go over time, right? And a lot of the times we just have fun. We jam as well, and it's not really part of the lesson. We're just, I enjoy talking to other magicians too. And so basically, how I handle it is I like to make you guys the leader. You kind of take it the way you want. So I'll start by collecting some info. You let me know what it is you want to learn, where you want to get to, whether it's a type of magic, certain tricks, certain sleights, effects, whatever it happens to be. You let me know what the things are you want to learn, and then we can start to work through that. So I've had some more shorter one-off sort of lessons with people where they're like, hey, I like this effect of yours. Either you've released the tutorial or you haven't. Will you teach this to me? And I'll pretty much teach any effect that I do to you. Even ones that I haven't made a tutorial for on YouTube, just ask, of course, and I'm sure we can work that out. And then, or there's a lot of cases where it's stuff I have taught on YouTube and people need more help, because the private lessons are so great because I can see one-on-one what you need help with. So we'll go through that, and some people it's just a single lesson. I just work on one effect with them. Like Jamz, we did Shuffleboard, and I taught him all my ideas how I handle Shuffleboard, and we did Shuffleboard. So different ideas like that. And then I have long-term people who, like kind of you mentioned, sort of a mentor thing. They started here, and we work through a lesson plan. We go over whatever you want to learn. If you want to start to dabble in some mentalism, you want to continue to improve your card work, you can ask me any questions. We can work on your sleights. A lot of people reach out for the cull. They need help with a cull because that's something I do a lot. So really, you can take it however you want, man. So that's the quick overview, and they're a lot of fun. I love doing them. So if you have any more questions, send me an email, or you can drop them here if you'd like, and go check it out, and we can get that rolling, man, because I'd love to have you on board. So, just before, let's see. What else did I want to talk about? Interactive, true. Okay. What did you guys? I want to know. What did you guys think, if you've seen it, of the interactive short video that I made, the interactive card trick? That's something that. So lately, I've been trying to make a lot more like short content to put out in between my long form content. So my long form videos come out every 4 days, and then the 3 days in between, I'm trying to put out a short every single day. And I've almost done that for a full month. So I'm going to try to keep doing that because it's really helping the channel grow, get it out to new eyes. But one thing that interests me a lot is interactive magic, because magic through a video where it's a stationary video, it's not, like, even live I could do some more stuff than I could actually do through an interactive video, because it's still, there's nothing happening, right? So you have to come up with really unique, obscure methods so that it works on everyone, and typically it only works the first time you watch it, and there's a whole lot of other problems. So I've actually really enjoyed trying to come up with new ideas in that space of like videos people can watch, follow along, and have magic happen to them. So I recently put out one. It's kind of a variation on that trick that you see where people are like, think of a card, you know, I'm gonna take your card out, and then you can look and your card's disappeared. The problem with that is people watch it a couple of times, they figure it out, and it's pretty obvious with only having a few cards. So I kind of adapted it to be able to use the full deck in a way. So if you guys saw that, or go check it out really quick, I think it's really neat. And I just like to know what you guys thought, if it worked on you. It should work if you follow the instructions. People who it doesn't work on generally don't follow the instructions. That's the interesting thing with that kind of stuff. They do well typically because, I mean, they're fun, but then they're kind of controversial. Like half the people say, not half the people, but a couple of people, you know, there's a small portion of people, and all the ones who leave comments are the ones who it doesn't work on, right? Which is funny because I'll have like 300 likes on the video and then like, you know, 10 comments and stuff. So the interesting thing is that it's just, like I said, a small portion of people who leave the negative comments, hey, it didn't work. But it's always funny because they always don't follow the instructions, because I'm like, it's literally impossible. Like, I designed the effect, I know what's possible if you follow the instructions. Like, that effect is 100% if you follow the instructions. But anyway, it's just kind of funny. And you get, that's one of the reasons they do well, because there's a bunch of people, it's a bunch of controversy, right? Because people are like, oh, it doesn't work, he did this, blah, blah, blah. And then the people who it does, it's just funny. And they do well for that reason. I think they're fun. I like to get in the comments, mess with people. Or generally, I'll try to explain to them, like, hey, like, it's impossible that you saw this card. You must have just thought of it when I said see one, right? I didn't say just think of a card. Or people pick the bottom card when I specifically said do not pick the bottom card. Anyway, stuff like that. It's cool. It worked. Okay, yeah. Awesome. I'm glad it worked. It was cool. And the cool thing about it, which is really unique, is you can watch it back as many times as you want and pick different cards, and it should still work. So that's pretty cool, I think. I'm pretty sure Carl says that he found this channel from watching a short. So to me, your shorts are great. Maybe you want to learn more. Awesome, Carl. Yeah, that's the goal, honestly. I realize, like, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Reels, all those things are pushing the short form content. People have short attention spans, so I'm like, I have to hop on the trend, even though it doesn't really suit what I want to do / enjoy to do, in the sense of, like, I like making long tutorial videos. I like longer discussion videos, theory, that kind of thing. It's hard to do in shorts. But they are great for little performance clips, I realized, right? I can chop up all the videos. You know, I have all the full videos, you know, 15 minutes, you can go watch the full performance, but then I can take, you know, say the video has 5 performances, I can take all those, throw them up, and we can put them as a short, and YouTube just pushes it to way more eyes, way more people see it, and it brings in way more people. The Trick Kid, hello, what is up, man? How are you doing? Happy to have you here. James says, I would highly recommend Reed as a mentor. Very knowledgeable and great teacher. Thank you so much, James. I really appreciate it. I have to have you back for another lesson, man. I know we've been talking about it, so anytime. But thank you very much. So if you guys do want to check out the private lessons, you can check out my website www.rfslights.com. So, yeah, we can do some lessons. I talked about them a bit earlier in the video if you want to rewind it a bit and hear about what the deal is with the lessons. So, let's get in today. This would be, it's my first time trying this, so hopefully it works out. Um, basically, I thought that we could start to do some reaction type stuff on live. So I set it up to the best of my abilities. We're going to start with some Reddit threads. I found some fun Reddit threads that are controversial because you know I love the controversy. God, I can't speak today. Let's get some water. Hydrate, guys. 4 liters a day if you're a man, okay? 4 liters a day. I don't anticipate I have too many women in here anyway, but if I do, what's up, ladies? Hope you're doing well. Anthony, what did I miss? I've just been talked a bit about private lessons and the new content to come. We're just about to dive into the good stuff of the live stream, so you didn't miss anything too important. Gary, is there a waiting list for private lessons? No, there's no waiting list. Basically, you can head to my website, and if you go to the Book a Lessons page, you can sign up and see all the availability I have and pick a slot that works for you and sign up, and we'll meet right then and there. I think you can book like 2 days. You have to book like 2 days ahead or something like that. I think I have it set up for. And yeah, then yeah, if any of the time slots don't work, like I think my window is from like noon to 9 p.m. Eastern. And so if you're somewhere else in the world and those times don't exactly work, then hit me up through email and we can try to work something out. So I was thinking, like I was saying, we can do some reaction type stuff. So I do want to do videos. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't quite got the video. So I can watch the video, but the audio right now is going to play through my laptop and go through the mic. So it's not ideal, but it works. I know how to, in theory, get the system audio to play. I am on a Mac, so it's a little bit more tricky. I do know how to do it in theory, but I haven't had time to test it yet, so I didn't want to do it and ruin the stream. But we are going to start with some Reddit threads. I found one Reddit threads from the Magic subreddit that is about hecklers that I think could be interesting, and then we can kind of talk about hecklers a little bit. And then one that's titled, and I'm very intrigued by this, it's called Controversial. If you complain that the internet is ruining magic, you're just not all that good. So, sounds like some exposure talk, and I will have a couple of videos coming out soon about exposure and YouTube, and I'm going to actually do a reaction to Chris Ramsey's Magic 2022 video, because I heard he talks a lot about that in there. I watched a little bit of it, the first couple of minutes, and then I skimmed through it and just to get an idea, and it's something so I want to react to the full thing, so I'm going to do a reaction video on that. Probably my next long form video, so 4 days from now. So what's that? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Saturday. I'm thinking that'll be fun. And then there's a whole Reddit thread on the Magic subreddit about that video, and it gets kind of controversial. So I want to dive into that in a video as well. But what do you guys think? The reaction stuff? Does that sound like something you're interested in? Sound something cool? I think it'll be cool. So let's see. Anthony, sick. I might hit you up for those lessons. How much by the hour? So I do about, obviously it depends on your currency, but it's about 50 USD per hour, which is a quite good price, honestly. If you look at like private magic lessons for magicians, man, they're charging like over $100. Very expensive. So I think it's fairly reasonable. So let me just get this set up real quick. Let's see if I pop this up here. We're going to start with some of the Reddit threads, and let's see. All right. Just give me a second. Okay. We have it up. Should be working. Let me know if you guys can see that. I think it is good. Okay. So I want to start with the Heckler one, let's start with the Heckler one's shorter, so we'll dive through that quick. I haven't even read this one. I did read the controversial one a little bit, so we'll see how this looks. So this guy says this is an older one. It's from 9 years ago, okay? So it might be completely irrelevant, but I just wanted to kind of do a blind one, and maybe we won't even do it. It might not be very good, but let's see. So how do you deal with hecklers or uncooperative spectators? I just came from a gig doing walk around and one mentalism stage routine for about 30 to 40 people. Naturally, people separated into small groups, and I did magic for each group. Came to one particular group. One of them either practiced magic or knew a few things because he would act smug and let the other people know, I know what he's doing. So referring to him. I'm confident that I didn't flash because it was a simple ambitious routine. This one audience member just destroyed the element of magic for the rest of the event. Kept trying to speculate, act smug, get others in on it. I simply just avoided him, spread the word around. So, yeah, so he's basically saying that he did a gig and there's someone who obviously has some magic knowledge and they were being a dick and just were basically saying, oh, I know how he did that. And it sounds like he was giving, telling other people how he did certain things, which not cool. So guys, let's just start by saying, if you're a magician and you see another magician, you watch another magician, appreciate the art. Don't let your ego need you to vocalize that you know what he's doing and you're better than him and all these things. So that is definitely not the way to go, guys. We're all just magicians here. Let's be nice to each other. Like I said in my Dear Magicians video, we definitely do not need to be calling out people for their methods. Obviously, we know what it is just because we have studied. We're no better than any layman. We are just nerds who spend all our time reading magic books. That's the only reason we have the knowledge, right? So we're not special, guys. We're not. We just practiced this because we wanted to. So that's what I'll start by saying there. Let's see. So I'll give you my thoughts on hecklers and how to handle hecklers. I just want to read some of the comments. I did magic a lot as a kid. I'm assured getting a heckler each show. Oh no, he does kid magic, not magic as a kid. Mostly the older child who hasn't asked to be there, but still is. The worst case, drunk parents. Yeah, they're always the worst. I'll definitely go about it, but I would ignore it in the first time. So ignore it first. If my tricks allow for it, and the kid said he's switching the card, I just show it without saying anything that he's wrong. If he heckles me throughout the show, I call him as a volunteer and perform my anti-heckler trick. Good point. SpongeBob trick where the kids see everything happening, but it's magic to the heckler until a super surprise finish. Oh, I bet he's talking about this thing where you throw in the balls over his head. That would be my guess. Got rid of that heckler for sure. Here you can say whatever you want, but I'll promote his heckling to a point where he makes a mistake. Okay. Now, if they're chit-chatting between adults, I leave them be. Who cares? I'm doing this for the kids anyway. But if they come up and ask me to be a volunteer and try to make my tricks fail, I had an uncle who knew magic. He comes up, takes my cards behind my back, and starts dabbling and shuffling them all over the place. I asked him to give me the cards back, took them back, and simply started an any card any number routine where the audience once again is ahead of the heckler and see him make mistakes. Stuff I do, killer finish. Simple style, strict and direct. I'm close, classic smoking my stepped out, doctor's machine. Okay, so I actually really like this guy's point here. What's his name? _ Haddock. Okay, nice. He basically says start by ignoring them. And that is always my advice, guys. So first things first, ignore them. You'll see in my recent street magic video, it's very interesting. I'm holding a double lift at one point. It hasn't come out yet, but it will come out. And you can see this and reference it. I don't know if it'll be the next one to come out. It's one of the 5 videos. But so I have a double, right? And I'm holding it like this as I ask someone to hold out their hands. And I don't know if the guy caught the side view and could kind of see that there was 2 cards. I think the double was pretty clean, so I'm not sure. But you see him reach and bend down and go for the card in the video. He goes straight for it. And I see this coming out of my peripheral. So what I do is I dip the card down, so now it's facing his eye line to hide that edge, right? Because that's where people are going to see doubles, along the edge. And I just slightly turn away from him and use my body almost like I box him out. If you know basketball, man, I boxed him out and got him out of there, right? So I boxed him out and I literally just kind of addressed everyone over to this side. Like I saw him coming, he was reaching straight for the card and bending down. I'm assuming he was going to try to see this. So I box him out, turn, and I just say, all right, guys, so we'll take the 8 of hearts, and I immediately just put, the switched card in their hand. So that is how I handled that situation. I guess I'm very small in the corner, so hopefully you guys can kind of see what I was talking about there. I forgot I was super tiny, but anyway, he obviously, he wasn't being a dick throughout the performance or anything. He just had a moment where I'm assuming he saw something, or maybe he knows a little bit about a double lift, but he saw something that made him think there might be more than 1 card there. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the impression I got for how he behaved. And literally, you'll see in the video how I just turn away. And the only reason I turned was completely because I saw him reaching for my deck. So my first thing would be ignore them, and don't be afraid to be kind of stern with people, or be you know, stand up for yourself. Like, I saw him coming, I put the body into him and moved away, right? It's simple. I didn't make it, I wasn't like, hey, don't touch that, don't touch, like, that would draw unnecessary attention to what you're doing. I just moved away and just casually made it look like I was turning my body away from him. So that's a little tip. So that's what he says here. Ignore them. Like, if people are yelling things, especially if they're not important, ignore them. My second tip is kind of to play into it. So it's almost the opposite. If you're quick-witted and you can kind of be funny with it, then go that route. Especially if people say things that are outlandish, like way off from the method. It's easy to say, yes, I definitely, you know, did that, or whatever they happen to say. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I did. And you say it in a sarcastic way, and everyone will laugh and get it's a joke. So that's one thing. Having an anti-heckler trick. Now, personally, I don't have one. If I had to think of one, I'm sure I could come up with one on the fly. I've always liked the idea of doing like the Erdnase. I think, yeah, how does that one work? You do flip a card, you do like the Erdnase change, or you do a vanish. Actually, I think it would probably be better with a vanish. So you take the 8 and you make it vanish, and then you hold it like you're in a palm, and you make it really obvious that you have a card in palm, and then wait for the heckler to call out your palm, and then show that there's nothing there. So, but again, I personally don't have much of a Heckler type effect like that, because honestly, I never need to get to that point. I like the trick where you say, okay, fine, I'll do something for you. We'll do something really special, and really you build up this effect. You say, okay, this is going to be one of my best tricks of the night. I haven't done this in a long time, but are you ready? And they say yes, and you say, all right, take your hand, hold it like this, turn it in, and put it right here. And then you just leave them with their hand over their mouth, and you can move into something else. One idea from a buddy of mine who I used to work with, he was actually a magician as well. I worked with him in my my actual, you know, I worked with him in my engineering career. He said what he used to do is when he'd get a bad heckler, he would say, all right, you know, because they're already saying, especially if you're doing mind reading, you can't read my mind, you'll never get what I'm thinking. And you say, okay, I'll get what you're thinking. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go over there, go far away so I can't even see you. And you send them like around the corner into another room. And you say, I want you to either think or write down any word or something like that, okay? And then you send them over there and you just leave them there. And you say, I'll tell you when to come back. And then you just continue your routine. And then when they peek out and say, are you ready yet? You say, no, I'm getting in the zone. I'm still working on it. Or then, you know, or you could say, you know, okay, think about it, send it to me, but I want you to stay over there. So you really don't think there's any way that I could know. Stay over there. Okay, perfect. Just keep sending it to me. I'm going to go through my process, and you leave them over there. So those are some like ideas of like Heckler type, you know, Heckler proof-ish tricks. But to be honest, I don't find myself needing those. So what often I'll do, I think, to be honest, this might be a little bit controversial, but I feel like if you're getting hecklers, you yourself are 75% of the problem. Now let me explain. I'm not saying you are bad or anything like that, but your persona and the way you're performing is inviting, not even like almost in a sense, inviting in the hecklers. So if you're the type who is not super confident when you perform, which I understand is a lot of people, and you know, you gotta work on it. You gotta take time. But if you're not confident when you perform, it's easy for someone to feel like they can one-up you, right? Someone to jump in and someone to heckle, right? If someone already has that mindset of, hey, I don't believe in magic. I can try to figure it out, heckle. They will be the ones to jump in if you give them that opportunity. And if you are presenting yourself as someone who's shy and is not really gonna, fire back, right? You're not gonna say anything to them, and they feel like they can walk all over you, they will. For me, when I'm performing, I'm loud. I make fun of my audience. In little ways, nothing too crazy. I'm biggest thing is confidence, though. I'm like I said, I command the room. So I make, like, if someone's talking like your teacher would in school, I'll just either stop or I'll just be like, hey, quiet it down. I will, say these things like, you know, people are trying to listen. Let's focus on this. Like, and what that was kind of what I'm saying by don't be afraid to be stand up for yourself. You know, you can tell someone to shut up. I would do it in a nicer way, but you can tell them like, hey, you know, just, you know, no one can hear. Just quiet down a bit. And doing little things like that will show people that, okay, he's got a control over the room. He is the person we should be focusing on. We'll listen to him. We'll respect him. It's one of the reasons why professional magicians in their stage shows, you don't see too many hecklers like that, right? It's very rare because they have that, you know, yes, people paid to see them and all that stuff. So there's a level of respect, but people understand that this guy is on stage for a reason. He's good at what he does. And then their performance, they captivate you and they feel like they're in charge of the room. So having that in charge attitude when you perform, that confidence, like even if someone, I can tell people when they're skeptical or they're not very interested in what I'm going to show them, I still come with that excitement and that confidence and that enthusiasm because it keeps them in their place. Really, it does. And they will warm up to the idea. And then if you have the Heckler type already, like you're going to get people who are just natural hecklers, right? They're just predisposed. And it's not always the people who are trying to figure out your tricks. A lot of times they'll keep quiet and they'll come up to you after if they have a question or, hey, I think I know how you did that, whatever. But it's just the people who are, again, they're typically the person who thinks they should be in charge of the room and they should be, they're trying to be. They're often not, but they're trying to be, right? So they want to do these things to feel like, hey, I'm the one who, you know, controls the room. So you just need to be that person instead, and they will just retract into their corner. So that's why I say 75% of the reason you're getting heckled is because of you and the way you perform. I don't get heckled very often, I'll be honest. I really don't. And I perform in some heckler, you know, really heckler-prone environments. In the middle of the streets, Saturday nights, people are drunk, bunch of young crowds, you know, young dudes too. Like you'll see, I have a bunch of performances, especially coming soon, of groups of guys my age. You know how we are, egos, all that stuff. So you just got to command the room. So let's get back into it here. At the end of the day, my biggest piece of advice is stand up for yourself. And you know, if they reach for your card, say, hey, no, don't need to touch those yet. Try to make a joke out of it if you can. If they ask, like, it's very rare people will ask something that is actually detrimental to the trick. Like, when you have a double, it's very rare someone will say, are you holding two cards there? They might ask something else, but it's often unrelated. It's very rare they'll ask that. And if they do, you know, I might try to just clean it up with a KM move and say, no, look. And then I can come in, maybe top change, reload the double, something like that, right? Think on your feet, and that's why it's good to have a big repertoire. Yeah. So like people ruining your tricks, again, if you're commanding and if someone, here's the thing, if someone does something wrong, like if you're trying to do a card effect and they mess up your cards into like, you know, the triumph, face up, face down, that story people always say, if that actually happens, you know, imagine a world where it did, I would go right into a triumph. But let's say you can't go into a triumph and they actually ruin your trick. You can just say, hey, that ruined my trick, now I can't do it. Like, especially in mentalism too, right? If people believe you have a process of how things have to happen for the magic to happen or the mind reading to happen, like if you have to chug this whole bottle of water, if that's the way that you read minds, that's the way that you were born to be able to read minds, you have to chug this bottle, and then someone else chugged the bottle of water and now you don't have the water, well then obviously you can't read the minds. So yes, they ruin the effect, but it's obvious, like that's your problem. You ruined it. So same thing with cards. If they do something that ruins it, and you say, "Well, I can't," you know, you ruined it, and then the negativity will be shifted onto them, and now it's their fault, right? So that's an idea. My friend just got into magic, but isn't really good. Any advice to tell him? What's up, Zach? How you doing, buddy? I'm gonna guess you're talking about me because Zach is my good buddy. How's the SIP treating you? He's up in Mississippi right now, from, you know, Ottawa man, born and raised Ottawa man's, but he's in Mississippi for med school right now. So congrats on that. How's it going down there, buddy? And yeah, I'm not very good. You're right. I'll give myself some advice there. Gary, I used to carry an electric shock pen for awkward spectators to sign a card, which would get a laugh from everyone else. Now I'm more confident in performing and haven't used it in a while. Yeah, that's actually a really funny idea. I could imagine like that electric touch by Yigal Masika. He used to have that where you could like shock people. That would be really funny to do with hecklers. Just shock them. I like that. That's funny. But yeah, it's all about confidence, man. Oh, Zach, you're a funny guy. So let me see. Let's see what else people say. Sounds great. Would you mind sharing how you perform ACR when the audience is in on it? Declan, pick a card after I put my hands behind my back. He can't predict my... Everyone sees the card put on top. Another is where I let the card fall and the audience sees just the card and put it back on top. A trick, a foolish way of getting away with it. I show that each card to be the one that he chooses, making him lose any heckling, turnover, double deal, turnaround, finish. Okay. Yeah, it's slightly confusing. Okay, let's see what this guy says here. If you're working in a business establishment, this should be one of the things you discuss with management before the show begins. It is going to happen, no doubt about it. Sooner or later, it happens to everyone. There's no shame in being prepared for it. When discussing this, be sure to phrase it so that the manager is thinking of the effect heckling has on the audience. Don't mention yourself at all here. Great point. If you are to use this strategy, mention how it would affect the show and the audience, not yourself. Stress how it interferes with the audience enjoyment. It might affect how they remember the experience. So that first point, I mean, I feel like I don't think I would ever do that in a gigging situation. Going to the manager and saying like, hey, you know, almost saying, make sure your people don't heckle me because it'll ruin it for the audience. Like, yes, you have the right idea by saying it would ruin it for the audience, but you're kind of using it as a fail-safe for yourself. And I feel like that's a bit of a cop-out. I mean, it is part of the job we deal with, and we shouldn't be giving our job to the manager. Like, what are they going to do? They own a restaurant with all kinds of random people coming in. You want them to have a sign that says, don't bother the magician as they walk in? I understand the sentiment here, but... And again, a lot of you guys probably aren't going to be in those situations either. So how is this advice useful for you anyway? So I'm not sure I totally agree with that sentiment. Well, I understand the sentiment, but I personally would not approach the venue and tell them like, hey, make sure people don't mess with me because it'll ruin the show for the audience. I think you got to figure that out yourself. And I think it's important to have strategies and think about every effect that you're going to do. Think about as much as you can what will go wrong and try to figure out how you would address that, okay? Then perform, and when you find the new things that could go wrong that you never could have thought of, come back home, plan for those. When they happen in the moment, do your best to figure your way out. But like I said, if it actually completely ruins the effect, which I would argue is very rare, it's very, very rare that an effect is completely unsavable, almost zero. But, and to get better at that, you just need more in your toolbox, really. And I'm going to hopefully give you guys some more insight into this once we get into some of the performance breakdowns coming up on the channel. But you can always pretty much save your effect, and in the moment try your best to do that if it does happen to you. But you always have the out of saying, whatever you just did, when you know, even if someone changes their card, right, in their head, like they pick a card and they name a different card, like that's a big form of heckling. People do that, and most cases, excuse me, need some water here. In most cases, people are not, or they will tell you what their actual card was. They'll tell you you're playing a joke. But you have to be prepared. And in the case that does happen, that is something that you can say ruined your trick. Like it did, right? It's like, if it's obviously it'll be a letdown when you get it wrong, but everyone would understand like they ruined your trick. So that's why I'm saying you can use that in all kinds of situations, right? Someone doesn't follow your instructions, right? They're supposed to cut the cards, right? You tell them to cut the cards. Let's say you're in stack, and they shuffle it, and you say, like, you can say, make up a reason. Don't say, my cards were in stack, so you ruined it because you messed up the stack. But you can say, no, it's very important that this trick you cut the cards, right? Mixing them that way, because it keeps the cards, because it changes the order of the cards without switching the positions, and that's very important. It actually makes the shuffle even more unique. That makes no sense, but I'm telling you, the audience won't question it if you say it with confidence. The amount of stuff, the amount of BS that I say to get myself out of situations that people just believe, it's unbelievable. You can do whatever you want as a magician, I'm telling you. Once you establish a bit of credibility, so that's kind of the point that I'm saying here. Like, you can just say that, hey, whatever you did to mess up my trick, vocalize that. That messed up my trick. I can't do it anymore. We'll have to do something else, right? People will now be mad at that person and understand. So let's see what Gary says. I had some advice from magicians saying not to challenge your spectator. Try and make it an experience for them, which reduces the likelihood of being quizzed about an effect you've just done. Great point. I'm a big believer in that. There's an effect or two that I do that is the presentation is a challenge, but that's for a reason, because they're designed for that. The methods are safe, made for that. But in most cases, it's all about the experience. You don't want to ever, I bet you can't figure this out. Like, a great example is like when I have posted like TikToks or like short videos, the ones that get projected to a large audience that don't follow me, and I have some kind of like, could you do better? Try to follow the ace. Whatever, some clickbait title. Those always get a bunch of comments of people just be like, I knew how you did it, right? Because you're setting up the challenge, right? So if you don't set that up, people won't say anything. That's a great point. And then Don says, one way to quiet a heckler almost immediately is loft up the cards and tell them to perform their best trick. Great. I've actually had that before. It's funny. People will tell me, oh, I can do a trick. And the second I hand them the cards, they'll be like, oh, never mind. Or in the heckler kind of case, they'll say, oh, that's easy. I know how you did that. I'm like, okay, go ahead, do it. And then they'll always be like, well, I can't do it, but I know. And it's just such a, like, you own them, because like, it's just such, like, it shuts them down completely. It's like, okay, go ahead then. If you know how I did it, go ahead, do it. Like, well, I know, but I can't do it. And it's like, okay, well, then you're irrelevant. So, great point. I suppose you could include the heckler and in effect make him feel important. Yeah, in some cases that does work. Be cautious on the effect that you choose. Make sure it's kind of bulletproof-ish in a way. But definitely can... Sometimes hecklers are just skeptics in disguise, right? So if you can... Sometimes, like, just showing them the first effect that they're like, wow, that's really cool. Their heckler skeptic mode is off, and now they'll enjoy the performance. So... let's see what else this guy says here. There will almost always be someone working lights or sound. Paying attention. The code phrase that alerts them to a possible problem in the audience. Okay, this guy's talking more about stage stuff, so it doesn't really apply to us too much here. There's always someone who knows how it's done. Most of the time they're wrong, and even if they aren't, what does it matter? Quote of the year. Love that. Love that. Yes, there's always someone who thinks they know what they're doing, just like my example from earlier when I did that interactive card trick and I had all kinds of people saying no, that was the wrong example. Actually, I don't think I told this story yet. I posted a little sleight of hand short, right? And there were so many people. And I just did Kayla Morelli's float switch. And the float switch simulates a double lift. Like, it looks like a double lift, but it's like a single card. So you have a single card, put it on top of the deck, and then you put the card in the middle, and the card stays on top. So it's like exactly like, how a double, you would show the top card, put the card in the middle, and it stays on top. But this is with a single card, and it uses a switch rather than... So it's great. And I did that, and I had so many people in the comments being like, basically, like, it was a lot of laymen who didn't know the terminology, but they were basically saying a double lift without saying a double lift. Or they'd say, oh, you had two aces, when I specifically said I don't, because I didn't. All kinds of stuff, right? They thought they knew. They thought it was a duplicate. They thought it was a double lift. They thought I had two cards when I only had, like, all kinds of stuff. But they were wrong. And how did that affect me? It didn't. I would just mostly just respond to them and say, you're wrong, because it's so funny when they're like, you're a liar. I know how you did it. And then they get so triggered and then they comment more and it helps you get an algorithm even more. It's great, really. But it's just so funny because it doesn't affect me. I know how I did it. I know how it works. And if you can, showing people why it doesn't work, or like, what I mean is like up close, you'd be like, or sorry, that's not what I mean. Like if you can show whatever they're accusing you of, if you can prove that that's not the method safely in your effect, that's great because it'll totally make the effect even more impressive. There's basically 3 schools of thought when dealing with spectators. Cut them down, basically attack them or heckle them back. Unless your character is already predisposed to taking jabs, I'd avoid this like the plague. I'd only take the lightest shots at them. It has to be the potential of turning the audience against you. Yeah, so I would avoid that, like unless you're like Jason Ledany type, and he's like kind of a rare breed. Like you have to really be careful. I definitely, make fun of my spectators and hit them back, but it's like tasteful jabs that I know, like once I've kind of figured out who can take it, like I'm artistic with it. So that's one thing to be careful of. But I mean, it could work. Like I said, you do need to stand up for yourself and be stern and say, hey, no, you're not touching my cards. Watch right now, okay? I'll do something with you later, okay? Or you can touch them after, or whatever. Don't be afraid to do that, but that's not being mean. That's not being disrespectful. That's just standing your ground a little bit. Bring them on stage. So that's, so I'm assuming here, I won't read it, but he's just saying, do a trick to them. Like some of those heckler effects are good, or even like we kind of mentioned, if you show them something, it'll often take down their guard because a lot of times they're just a skeptic in disguise, and ignore them. So yeah, all points we've talked about here, ignore them. Try to pretend they're not there. If you don't give them attention, if you don't, you know that whole saying when someone's making fun of you and you react to it, they'll keep making fun of you because of the reaction. So if you don't react, there's a good chance they'll stop, right? It's the same idea. So let's see if anyone says anything different to say, and then we will move on. If you guys have any other questions about hecklers or anything like that, I think we're going to move on in a second. Let me know if you would like a tutorial right now, or if you want to go into the controversial one right here that says, if you complain that the internet is ruining magic, you're just not that good. That sounds very interesting. So let me know what you guys want to do. We want to do some more Reddit thread reading, or do we want to look at a tutorial? Audience is passive, professional, in charge of the situation. If the audience is passive, they'll, okay, yeah, so be performer in charge. Yeah, we kind of talked about that. That was my main point here. Way over your head, did you just... Okay, people arguing about ambitious card, of course. What else would I expect from this? Yeah. Okay, so let's see. That's that. Let me jump back up to full screen here. Oh, another frame. Okay, so it looks like people are voting for the tutorial. So a tutorial it will be. Let's look here. Let me throw up the transition because I enjoy it. Boom and boom. Here we are down at the card table. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed that little segment, that little Reddit reading segment. Honestly, I think that one was decent, but I think this other one will be really cool. So if we don't get to it today, we'll do it in another live stream because this thread is quite interesting, talking about YouTube and exposure and all that stuff. So for tutorials, let's see. Okay, now I'll let you guys choose here. I was gonna only do one, and I was gonna kind of save the other one, but if you guys really want, I will teach it. But here's what I'll say. So I will either teach a can. Now before, I know you guys are all going to vote the A can, okay? But hear me out. I would vote personally for the other one if I were you, but I'll give you both. So the A can, I'm just going to show you the system of how you can, so think about most A cans. You're in a stack or you're doing some kind of weird cutting. The spectator doesn't, you do a false deal. I'm going to show you a system to how you can get any card to any position that they name, okay, by stacking it manually so that you can hand them the deck and they can fairly deal, right? It's impromptu shuffle deck, but and the great part is you barely have to do like so I'm not explaining this very well. The great part is they shuffle part of the deck, you shuffle part of the deck, so they're actually shuffling the deck while you do this, and you only have to move around at the very most worst case scenario 12 or 13 cards. In most cases you're moving 2, 3, 4, 5, so it takes 2 seconds, right? And you can get the card to any position at all in the deck, for any card, any number. It's kind of the ultimate impromptu because there's no stack, no setup, and it's legit just putting the card at the number in a very awesome, discreet way. So there's that we can talk about. But before you jump all over it, I know it's an A can and everyone's going to want to do it, but the other idea is something I call weighted average. And it's how to divine a thought of cards. So someone thinks of a card, you have them look at their card in the deck, put the deck back together, you know, they can mix it up and you can figure out what the card is. That's how it appears to them. So you guys give me a vote. What do you want to see? Do you want to see the A can or divine a thought of card? It's very powerful, very useful for several different effects. There's sort of an easier way that's kind of a deceptive, almost. I won't say anything. I'll let you guys vote. So we can do sort of that A can impromptu idea, or we can do divining a thought of card using your deck as the means. So while you guys vote, I will see what people have to say. What if they take the deck from between your hands? So Abdullah, why are you letting them take the deck from between your hands? Don't let them take the card from between your hands. Like I said, do you remember I was giving that example? I was holding a double and the guy reached for the card and I turned away and I almost put my shoulder into him and I just kept him away, and I was like, and I, you know, did it away from him because I knew he was reaching for it. Someone, like, that's a full level of disrespect, right? No one should reach in and be able to just take that card, take the deck from you. I never let that happen. You know, it's rude. Someone does it, you say, hey, you know, okay, man, I'm performing here. Well, you can have the deck when when I'm ready, when I say, but don't let them take the deck. And then pull out your stun gun and let them ride the light. Yeah, that's a great idea. Always carry a taser when you're performing and just tase the hecklers. That's actually my greatest tip of all. Do you have a preference to a particular deck? Do I have a preference to a particular deck? Not really. I mean, performing, I use bikes all the time because I have people sign cards, keep cards. So this is like my most recent performance deck. This is from when I was doing Magic downtown. So there's a bunch of signatures, and a bunch of people took the cards away. So I always restock it with this, this deck here, which is like half now because I've been restocking this deck. But I mean, I really like the luxury decks. I do really like Madison's decks, to be honest. They're very thin and very smooth. They handle super nice, which I like. But I mean, all decks that are decent quality are all kind of the same in my opinion. So, all right, we want a thought of card. Okay, so let's talk about weighted average. I'm glad you guys picked that one. I think it's great. You guys tell me what you think. So let's start here. Let me open up my notes on weighted average so I make sure I cover everything that there is to cover. So there's kind of 3 methods to this, okay? Each one will get progressively more fair, we'll say. Okay, so let me make this full screen again. Okay, so the idea for weighted average was, so it had several different ideas. I was like, I want to be able to divine a thought of card, but in a surefire way that uses the deck, right? The deck is going to be the vessel to how we figure out the card. So the first order of business is we need to figure out, okay, what is the reason that they're gonna think of a card and then find it in the deck, right? So I remember, I'll give you a bit of the process. My original thought was they'd think of any card. I'll explain my justification in a second, but the idea was they would take out the card, place it on the top of the deck. There would be reasons for this. And then all you would need to do is, you know, some kind of control. Oh, that was terrible. Let's try that again. So all you would need to do is some kind of control to put that card in the middle, and then you could come bubble peek the deck and know the card they're thinking of when, you know, to them it'd be in the middle. So that was kind of the bare bones. I was like, well, if there's a way we could do that, but obviously it needs to be better than that. So first, let's talk about the justification. So what you're going to do is you're going to tell someone, you know, away from the deck of cards, whatever the case is, you can use this for any effect, but you say, I want you to think of a card, any card you want, and make it truly unique to you. So I always like to emphasize the fair choice, the free choice, you know, aspect when you have the opportunity to. So I'll tell them, you know, truly think about it, make sure it's a card I could never know. Maybe don't go for the aces like everyone. Like, I like saying things like that to try to really make them understand how fair this is going to be. Emphasize it because we can, right? So, then we need a reason for them to look through the deck. So the justification I use is I say, all right, now, you know, our brains have so many thoughts going through them every second, right? It's something like 15,000 thoughts a second. And for me to be able to get into your mind and try to figure out what card you're thinking of, because that's what I want to try to do here, I need you to see your card in the deck, okay? I need you to be able to focus on it, visualize it, and that'll just help me focus on it. So what I'm going to have you do is go through the cards like this and just set them down until you've stopped on your card and your card's on the face, and then I just want you to hold it against your chest like that for me, okay? So that's exactly what they'll do. So let's say they're thinking of the Jack of Hearts. So I would always demonstrate this. So you say, you're going to go through the cards like this, and you're going to set them face down until you find your card on the face, and then you're just going to hold it against your chest. I'll turn away, and you let me know when you've done that, okay? So now they're going to go through. Let's look for the Jack of Hearts. This deck at this point could be shuffled, of course, and then they're going to stop right here, and they're going to be in this position. So now they can turn around if you'd like, and you say, okay, so what I want you to do is just keep that card hidden and just look at it. Just focus on it, visualize that card, build it in your head, and so they'll be doing something like this. You can even still be turned away at this point. I usually would be still turned away. They focus on it, you know, look at it, all that stuff, and then they'd set the card down, and we go from there. So the method, I'm going to talk about so this is not the full weighted average. We'll start with the more bare bones, and then we'll get into the more deceptive method. So the first method is similar to Divernon. Divernon has an effect that the name always escapes of me. The name always escapes of me. The name always escapes me. If someone can give me the name of it, it's his key card effect. It's really great. You know, the spectator cuts to a card, and then they cut the cards in their hands, and then they can put this in there, and in that they've got a key card. It's like divine, is it divine? No, not divine intervention, but like, I don't know if you guys know the name of that Vernon effect. But anyway, so what you're going to do here is, the first version uses a key card. The later version does not use a key card. Okay, so the first version, you'd have them shuffle the deck. Okay, as you're going through explaining, and you say you're going to stop here and look at your card, you're going to just push with the thumb and peek that top card there. Okay, so you're going to push over with the thumb, peek that card. So it looks like this. They've shuffled the deck, they hand it to you, say perfect. So you have your thought of card in mind. Remember, you do all that beforehand. You have them think of a card completely separate. The deck doesn't even matter, right? And then you say, I need you to visualize your card. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to have you go through the deck like this until you see your card on the face. Then I just want you to hold it against your chest like this. And as I come back is when I push over and I get the break there. I see the key card, 9 of spades, as I set that down on the table. Right? So now I know the 9 of spades is the 9 of spades is the top card. Now they're going to go through looking for the Jack of Hearts. Let me put it more in the middle just for example here. So they're setting cards down. Now they have the card on their face and they come here. And now I say, perfect, focus on that card. They envision it, they imagine it, all that sort of stuff. Once they've done that, then I say, okay, perfect. Now, the way that I choose, you could at this point have them cut these cards, and that'll place the key card right next to theirs. Now, that is very similar to how Vernon would have done this trick, right? You do a cut, and then another cut, and that places the key card next to it. What I like to do, and this is sort of inspired off the, the full version of this effect that doesn't use a key card, which we're getting to. But I say this, so now, it's weird, and this is why it's called weighted average, but I really like this premise. You say, so it's interesting, sometimes actually weight, like the feeling of weight, like the feeling of mass in your hand, can actually help me to get a sense of what card you're thinking of. And I know that sounds very weird, but here's what I want you to do. If your card is a 4, for example, and I'll usually pick up this pile and give that as an example, I say, I just want you to count off 4 cards from the face and set the rest down. If it's a 5, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, set the rest down, okay? So what they're going to do for the jack, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Set the rest down. Now you have the key card there. And you do this all with your back turned, right? And then you say, all right, I want you to feel the weight of those cards. Just remember how that feels in your hand. Okay, you're not even looking at this point, though. You say, remember how it feels, and just set those on top. And that's perfect. And then when you come back, use that weight as your process. So you say, okay, hold your hand out again. And I want you to just bounce your hand and imagine that weight. Imagine what you felt. Imagine that mass of cards in your hands and imagine how that felt to you. And that's when you would do the reading. Now, to get your peak, here's what I always like to do. I'll pull off a chunk from the bottom and then just shuffle off on top because I know there are cards near the top and I won't disturb the order. Just give it a quick shuffle. So I pick up, give it a quick shuffle, and I say, all right, now you're thinking of a card. Now I'll start to go through my process. I'll say, feel the weight of those cards. And then I'll say, I think I've got it. And I go through. I honestly still have no idea what the card is yet. I go through looking for my key card, 9 of spades, which in this case is below it. And I say, might be this one. And I'm just pulling up a random card. Might be this one. No, never mind. Okay, I haven't got it yet. Focus more. If you want to go that way, in terms of doing a verbal reveal where you don't pull out the card, that's how I would do it. So I'd say, okay, no, not this one. And I just pull out a random card towards me. Say, I'm thinking it might be, and then at this point I'm identifying what their actual card is. I say, no, never mind. Okay, and now I know the identity and I'd reveal it. If you want to use it for a trick, at this point, you know what the thought of card is, and you say, you know what, let's actually try something. And now you can mix it up. You say, here, shuffle these again, and you go into a triumph with the thought of card now, or something like that, right? Now, that is the more basic way, and just a side note on the key card way, you could also do it like this. You start with a truly shuffled deck. You don't need any peaks from the beginning. The spectator goes through, let's say they're thinking of the jack of spades, they'd stop here, and now as you're giving them the example, you just peek this card, right? So you say, so in this case your example would be this. You'd say, so, remember, they'd be in this position holding the cards, so you turn around now and you say, all right, I just want you to look at the card like this, just focus on it, and as you do that, now you peek that card. You say, just focus on it, and you just push it over with the thumb, get your peek. So just focus on that card, remember it, really visualize it, and now you let them do that. You say, okay, get every line, imagine the color, the suit, and now just set those down on top. And then I take those back, give them a quick shuffle, and once again, I have my key card right next to it because of the peak. So that one works slightly differently, where you're peeking sort of the card that they're placing it on top in a different way, right? So there's those two ideas to get the sort of key card in that way. And the important thing here is the setup. So I just like to reiterate, have them think of a card. So let me give you what it would kind of look like. So I want you, everyone here, to think of a card, all right? Think of one at home. Get any card in mind, make it a free choice, and I really don't want you to be influenced by anything. Really make sure this card is unique to yourself. Okay, so they'll have one, you say, perfect. Now, I want you to, and here's another thing, don't bring the cards in right away. Say, okay, imagine the colors for me, and try to send me that card. Try to really focus on it. Okay, it's not coming through great. I think you're more of a visual learner, actually, because our brains have so many thoughts that go through them every second. Actually, I need you to visualize your card for me. So here's what I want you to do. Give those a mix. So they shuffle the cards. And you say, all right, so, yeah, here's what we'll do. Just go through the cards like this. I just want you to set them down until you see your card on the face here, and then just hold it against you. I'll turn away. I won't even look. So I'm turned away now. they're going through. Let's say they stop on the 10 of spades and they hold that against their chest. And now I turn back, they're like this, and I say, look, now you have this card in front of you, and I'll just pick up this deck as if I'm demonstrating. And I'll say, so focus on that card, you're going to imagine it, you're going to visualize all the colors, the pips, all the suit, everything like that. And as I'm doing this, to myself, I push over this top card and I peek that one there, which is going to be my key card. So now I push that over, I remember the 10 of hearts, set that down. Now I turn my back again. I say, okay, I'm going to turn my back. You do that, you focus, da-da-da, remember your card, and now just set that on top. And I say, perfect. So now you have a card in mind that no one could know, right? It's a completely thought of card. And what I did there is I just remember that, you know, there was about this many cards on the table, so there are cards somewhere in the middle. So I know if I just pull off a small chunk, throw off a big chunk, and pull off a small chunk from the bottom to shuffle on top, I won't disturb the key card. Now I can say, okay, focus on your card for me, send me the color. Maybe I'll even throw out a 50-50 hit on the color. I'll say, I think you went for, should you go for a black card here? They'll say yes. I say, perfect, okay, and that's just a guess. If you get it wrong, then it's fine. They think you're even further away. And I'll say, I'm thinking you went for maybe this one, And all I'm doing is, you know, putting up one, so it seems like I'm focusing over here, but really I'm looking for my 10 of hearts key card. Now I know theirs is the 10 of spades. I say, no, okay. I need you to send it to me. Visualize it even more. Okay. Boom. Then I nail the 10 of spades, or I would go into an effect with the 10 of spades. Now, the final version, the true version of the weighted average principle really uses that weight idea. And I thought this is a cool concept, right? If you could have someone weigh the cards, feel what that number of cards feels like in their hand, then that could be the vessel in which you are reading their mind through. Maybe you hold their hand here and you do a muscle reading as you have them imagine what that weight feels like. I really like some of those ideas. So what you do for this plot is quite neat. It's got a bit of dual reality in it. So same start to the effect. You have them think of a card, you know, you work through it all, and then you say, you know what, I think you're more of a visual learner, so here, let's do this. Go through the cards until you see your card on the face, hold it against your chest. So Jack of clubs, they're holding it here. Perfect. Now you turn around and you say, so, I know this sounds weird, but I actually need you to feel the weight of how many cards that feels like. So here's what we'll do. If your card's a 2, you're going to take 2 cards off the bottom. If it's a 5, you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards off the bottom, okay? So just go ahead and do that for me. Now they do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Then you say set down the remainder. Now keep in mind, we don't have a key card, because the great thing about this is they can shuffle the deck and go straight into it without you having to touch the deck. Not have to get a key card. You know, them setting down this pile completely destroys if this one was a key card, so it's very deceptive, especially to magicians as well. Now, then you do the whole focus on your card, imagine it, visualize it, and you say, okay, now set that pile face down in your hand, and again, your back's turned the whole time, and you say, feel the weight. Feel how heavy that feels, feel the number of cards in your hand, you know, get a sense for what that's like, because I'm going to ask you about that in a second. You say, perfect, now set that down on top and square up everything. Now, if you think about it, we don't have a key card. We don't know anything besides maybe that their card's kind of near the top, but again, we don't know much. And to them, I mean, we couldn't know anything. So now what I do is I turn around and I kind of leave the deck aside. And I say, so again, I'm going to try to use this weight, sort of like a muscle reading, to get a sense for what you're thinking of. So just hold your hand out, and I'll put my hand on their wrist like I'm taking a pulse, and I'll say, just visualize, imagine what that weight felt like in your hand. And they'll do that, and I'll say, okay, I want to try something special. Close your eyes for me. Now they have their hand out, and you say, all right, I'm just going to deal cards into your hand, right? So you just say, I'm going to deal cards into your hand, and make sure you don't disturb this order. So just do one. Say, I'm going to deal cards into your hand just like that. And I just want you to think stop when it feels like the right number of cards are in your hand, right? Perfect. Now, if you think about it, the only thing we do know about their card is it is at the position in the deck that matches the value of the card. Pretty cool. So, their eyes are closed, their hand is out, and now we don't even have to, it doesn't even look like we go through the cards to them because their eyes are closed. But what we're actually going to do, and here's part of the subtlety, when I said I'm going to deal through the cards in your hand and you're going to think stop when it feels like you have the same number of cards that you had earlier, I place the card face down in their hand. So in their mind, I'm going to be dealing face down now, but actually I'm going to be dealing face up, but their eyes are going to be closed. Now, if you have an audience, it's like a dual reality. The audience won't really think much of it, but the spectator will still believe that you were dealing face down. So that even, you never even looked at the top cards, right? So you start dealing through, and in your head, you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, King, Queen, right? So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King. So I've left it now at the 2 cards that it could possibly be. In normal performance, I would just clock those 2 cards. And how do I know? Well, because it's the only cards that were at the same that have the same value as the position they're at. So the Jack was in the Jack position, and the 7 was in the 7th position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack. So in normal performance, I would just remember these. But if you feel like you'll have trouble remembering as you're dealing, when you hit 1, so I hit 7, and I just set it slightly off, out-jogged, place the rest on top, hit Jack, out-jogged, the rest on top, and now I can see very clearly the Jack and the 7, and know those are the 2 cards I need to now narrow down between. Then, you know, after you've dealt the 13 cards, you say, okay, hopefully at some point you thought stop, and they'll confirm, and you set everything back on top. Now the great thing is you haven't disturbed the order, so the cards, if you forget and you need to peek again, you can always pick up the deck, give it one last glance while you're pretending to read them, and say, oh yeah, 7 of diamonds and Jack of clubs. Okay, so you just remember the cards, and at the most you'll have 2. Very rarely you'll have 3 cards that end up in the same position, but it's generally just the 1 or sometimes 2 cards. You can try this out, see how it works for you. And then for fishing, I often will go with the color. If the color's different or the suit's different, I'll just fish on that. So in this case, I'd say, okay, the first thing I see is you're thinking of a red card. And they'll say no, and you'll be like, oh, okay, visualize it, make sure you focus on the suit, okay? Really imagine another object in that color. Imagine something that suit looks like in real life, right? And now I know it's the Jack of clubs. If they're the same suit, I might fish for a letter, or I'd say, I'm thinking this card is below 5. It's below 5, yeah? And they'll say no, and I'll be like, okay, and now I know it's the Jack, right? So you just, one fishing question if you end up with a couple of cards. But now, you're so far ahead, they can shuffle the deck at this point, and you know what the card is, and it has a great premise with the kind of the weight and the muscle reading sort of thing. And I think it's really nice. So let me know what you guys think of that weighted average. I'll run through it quickly one more time, but it's really great technique. And so I'll give you, what effect could we talk about? Maybe let's look at maybe a little triumph with this, a quick triumph idea. So what I might do is I'll have someone think of a card, and then I'll say, actually, well, I'll give you the full rundown. So think of a card, make it unique. I'll give you the short version of the full rundown. Make it unique, all that stuff. In a second, I want you to go through the cards like this. Stop once you've arrived at your card. They'll do that. They'll stop on the 7 of diamonds. I'll say, perfect. Hold that against your chest. Then you say, all right, so in a second, whatever your value is, I want you to count off that number of cards. I know it sounds weird, but I need you to get a sense of what that number of cards feels like. So I'm going to kind of try like a sort of muscle reading thing. It's quite interesting. So if you had 3, you'd go 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, and you take off 3 cards and you hold those in your hand. They now go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I say set the rest down on top, and they hold those. Now I say focus on that card, imagine the colors, and set them face down in your hand, and get a sense for the weight of how many cards that feels like. Okay, get a sense for how that feels, and then set those on top. So they do that, and you say, okay, perfect, I'm going to try to read you, do a little bit of reading, and you say, hold your hand out. I want to get a sense for that weight. Okay, I think I need to put some cards. So I'm going to put some cards in your hand. Keep your eyes closed, and whenever it feels right, I just want you to think stop whenever you think you're at the same number of cards. So now I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King. I automatically know it's the 7 of diamonds. I pick those back up. Their eyes are still closed. I say, perfect. So at some point you thought stop, right? And I say, okay, look at me. All right, I think I'm going to try this. let's do this. So now I'm going to go through the deck, and I'm going to bring their 7 of diamonds. Okay, I'm going to cull it or just cut it to the top. Okay, and now I'm going to teach you guys a little triumph really quick. I haven't taught this yet. It is going to be coming in a video soon, so I'll give you the brief overview. But think about this. You could do this triumph with a thought of card, right? So you say, okay, keep that card in mind. Don't forget it. And now what you do is you slip cut their card as you flip over the top packet. Okay? So their thought of card is on top. They've never said this card out loud, right? And this is just an idea of how you can use this weighted average principle to get any thought of card. So you cut the deck and you say, all right, so I'm going to flip half the cards face up, and you slip cut their card onto the face down pile. Okay? So again, oh, I just lost it there. There we go. So again, you say, I'm going to boom, just like that. Now, you want a bigger chunk of face up cards, which means as you make this cut off more than half. Okay, so you cut off more than half, slip cut their card, turn it over. Now you're going to shuffle them. Okay, but what I want you to do is make sure a big chunk of the face up cards just go straight on the bottom without actually being shuffled. So you see here, this whole chunk of face up cards is just going straight to the bottom. And then these cards here, what often helps, if you pull up a little bit as you do the shuffling and you just kind of mix in. So you see I'm really only shuffling like this. And there's a big chunk of face up cards on the bottom. Okay. Now, the better you are at the cull, the more cards I would feed into that spot versus the least cards. So let's say you're not very great. Well, that's fine. Just take a small packet, maybe 8 cards or so, and you're going to shuffle them near the top half of this packet. So you kind of have this situation. You've shuffled cards at the top, and then there's a chunk of face down cards, and then a big chunk of face up cards undisturbed. But let's show you what that looks like. So we cut off a big chunk, boom, and then from here, if you just point this angle at their eye line, come through, boom, it looks good, right? And you don't have to do a perfect faro, just whatever you do. But you can see here, I've just shuffled the top, and I've left a chunk and left another chunk. So one more time, just to show you exposed, I lift up a little bit, right? I lift up so I get whatever size packet I'm comfortable culling. So if I can cull 6 to 8 cards, it'll just be a small packet. Then I have those, and I set this inside, and then I just kind of riffle those ones in between, right? So I'm going to do a bit more, and I riffle them in between, and now you can shuffle, and they can hear the cards shuffling, right? We know their card is still the face down card on top because we kept it on top, and when we did our shuffle, just make sure that card ends up on top. Now you're going to say, look, I just want to show you the condition of these cards. Okay, and what you're going to do is we're going to be culling the, what do we call it? We're calling the face down card. Oh, no. I made one mistake here. You want to make sure a face up card ends up on top of the deck. Okay, so as you do that, and I'll run over it in a second, just make sure a card or two that's face up goes on top of the selection, but you will still know that their card is the first face down card. Okay, so now you go through and you cull that first face down card because it's their selection. And you say, look, I just want you to get a sense for how mixed and how chaotic this deck of cards is. And as you're going through, you're just culling the face up cards, but to them, it just looks like you're going through the deck. You just show them. You can say, look, just remember this chaos. The great thing is you don't have to shuffle. Like I shuffled, maybe 12 face up cards that I need to cull, but you don't have to do very much. You just want to show the top half of the deck, but you don't have to go through the whole deck because most of it's already sorted. And then you just close up, and you have the face up cards here, face down cards here, open at the natural break, pull off the face down card onto the face down pile. You say you could have had, your card could be, the one you're thinking of could be face up now, could be face down, and then I set those on top, and I spread, and everything is fixed except for their thought of card. So again, I know that was a bit confusing, but let's do that again. So you control the thought of card. We'll go 5 of diamonds to the top of the deck. You're going to break off a bigger chunk and pull the card on top, the selection, onto the face down pile, flip it over. And I'll show you what it looks like if you just do a couple of cards, because this is very accessible, guys. Like, even if you can't cull very well, you can do this with only a few cards. So there we go. I have maybe 5, 6 cards there, and I'm going to just shuffle just those cards near the top half. So let's see if I can get a good angle on that. Just those cards near the top half of the deck. So I just have those 5 or 6 cards interlaced with the top half of this face down pile, and then these cards face down. And I forgot to mention, you just make sure at least one face up card ends up on top. So to show that, you're going to come like this, shuffle, and get a face up card on top. In this case I have a few, but it doesn't really matter. You just want at least one on top, and then you can push everything in. Now, as you go through, you're going to cull the selection, which is the first face down card. You say, look, just remember this chaos. We have a bunch of face down cards, a bunch of face up cards, and just like that, there was about 4 cards there that I had to cull, and now I'm good to go. And it just gives that slight impression. Now you don't want to obviously spread through all these face down ones, so you just push off a big chunk with the thumb, lift up at somewhere in the middle of all the face up cards. Now here are your culled cards, and they just go right in between all of that. Close everything up. Now you're in the position of face up chunk, face down chunk with a face up cover card, and the selection is face down in the face up pile. So as I square up, I find that natural break, which you can see right there. And I say, look, your card might be, and I pull that card onto the face up pile. Your card might be face up like this one, or it might be face up like this one. And then I kind of do a Stuart Gordon. I used to go like this and then flip it back over, but I noticed some people would notice that flipping motion. So what I do now is I say your card might be face up like this one, might be face down like this one, and then I Stuart Gordon it into this position and slide it on top. So again, that's like this, and then I kind of come like that, right? So I say you could be this one, boom, and then I place it on top here, put it between their hands, focus, boom, one card, all the cards are fixed except for one, and now I say, for the first time, what was the card you were thinking of? You've never said it out loud, 5 of diamonds, and we have the 5 of diamonds. So, there's another little tutorial, but yeah, that's how you can use it in a couple different effects. So let me jump up back to the main. Alright guys, so what did you think? Weighted average. Hopefully you can see the uses of that. I feel like you need to try it. It's one of those effects you need to try. It might seem a little bit like a process, but it's not too bad. It's not too process heavy, to be honest. And it's almost like an afterthought. If you use the premise of the muscle reading and you use these little ideas, you will quickly know a thought of card and you move on to another effect, or you just reveal the card. I always like using it with another effect. That triumph there, for example, is a quick impromptu triumph that's easier. I will make a video on that soon to try to make it more clear, because it is, with don't shuffle this packet, only take a small chunk, and I get it's a little bit confusing, and I find sometimes in the live tutorials it's hard to explain it as well as I'd like to, so I will make a full video on that, but that's just a quick idea of a quick triumph that you can try out. Watch this back. If you have any questions about the triumph or the weighted average, let me know what you guys think on it, and let me know if you would like, or if you're going to use it, if you like it, and what you think. What time are we at? 4:30. Been on here for about an hour and a half. I'll open the floor up to any other questions, or maybe any suggestions you guys would like to see on the channel, or tutorials, or whatever. Let's have a bit of a discussion, and then we will wrap it up. So it was a great live. I think my favorite live yet, to be honest. Some great discourse. Lots of people in here for what I normally get, so that's great. We were up at like 17 at one point, which is pretty cool. And then I think the Reddit thing was a lot of fun, and so I think even the thread we'll do on the next live stream, I think will be even better. It looks like it's got a lot of controversy, which I like very much. So let me know, guys, if you have any other questions, anything else you'd like to discuss, and then I will jump off, get out of here in a bit. I do feel like there's more room in that weighted average idea still to streamline it a little bit, just thinking out loud. It's almost still a work in progress idea. No, the final version is good, but I just think there's a way to streamline parts of it. So gotta, if you have any thoughts, inputs, play around with it though. It's really neat. Works really, really well, and it feels, it's as simple as, like, you could have someone think of a thought of card, take it out, and set it on top of the deck, and you just bubble peek it. But if your framing and your presentation convinces them that has nothing to do with it, then it'll feel like real mind reading. Like, seriously, it's that simple. It's the same reason why having someone stop on a card, remember it, and if they never said it out loud or touch it, you can convince them that it was a thought of card. Really, you just need to do as much as you can away from the deck. Okay? So that would be my suggestion. Like, say, for example, I had someone think of a card, and they think of the 4 spades, and I say, take out that card. Why? Why would they take it out? Well, so they can focus on it, visualize it, imagine it. So now really build that up. Say, focus on that card. Even if the card's marked, you could do it with a marked deck. But anyway, they focus on it, they imagine it, visualize it, and they say, okay, perfect. And now just place that card on top of the deck, and we'll forget it there. And now you can literally just say, all right, we'll mix it up into the middle, just like that, and I'll set the cards down. And I just shuffled it to the bottom and peeked it on the bottom. And now if I set the deck away, throw it over my shoulder, put it in the box, as long as now I have a process, which is what we're going to be talking about in Mentalism 101 episode 4, have a believable process that makes that feel like the actual method, feel like nothing to do with it. This, what I'm about to do, is how it works, right? How I read minds. And that's the interesting thing about mind reading, is like, you can have whatever process you want, and if you don't get it right, or if someone's not willing to listen, you just say, well, that's my process. I can't read your mind unless you do that, right? Where can I learn the truffle shuffle, false shuffle? Truffle shuffle, Vanishing Ink, I think, is where I originally picked up the download for that. There's mine. I'll show you again. If you do it like that, or I'll keep it a bit more straight so you can see the mechanics a little better. That's all false, guys. 100% full deck false shuffle. Nope, we lost a few. That's okay. It's hard up at this angle. It's a little awkward, but yeah, too high up there. But so that's the truffle shuffle. Probably my favorite false shuffle. That one, Madison's false shuffle, is nice, but it's really the same thing, to be honest. It's just the truffle shuffle. So the truffle shuffle is great. Truffle Shuffle 2.0 they also have, which is, the tutorial kind of sucks, and I don't think it's as, like, it's good, but it's not worth it, really, in my opinion. I don't know. That's my thoughts on it, and the tutorial sucks terribly for the Truffle Shuffle 2.0. Yeah, how the F? Yeah, I know. It's so good, man. It looks so good. Let's see. Yeah, I need more. I need more of the cards. They fell. Let me get a different deck. There we go. That was kind of still mid, because up here it's a little awkward. But anyway, Truffle Shuffle. Great false shuffle. One I use all the time. Not that I need to false shuffle much, because, hey, I don't do much. I don't do any stack work, and so it's rare. But, yeah. Alright, guys. So, any last things? Let me know. I'm going to head out in a bit. But, you guys let me know if you have any other questions, anything like that. Can you learn it for free? No. I mean, the guy, I forget, what's his name? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. His last name starts with an H, I think. Anyway, no, I mean, it's not expensive, man. It's like under $10, I think, at Vanishing Ink. And you know, go pick it up. It's well worth it. You know, I wouldn't tell you it wasn't worth it if it wasn't. But Truffle Shuffle, it's a great utility move. Best fall shuffle in my opinion, just because in the hands, practical, great for street performing and that sort of thing. But no, I mean it shouldn't be on YouTube anywhere, so I wouldn't get your hopes up, because definitely no one should have taught that. I think he's still making money off it, so you know, gotta respect the creator, man. At the end of the day, yeah. So I'll just give another minute or so, see if any last questions come in. I will pick up my cards while I wait. Sorry for that awful noise. Alright. This was a great live stream though. Won't even lie, man. Probably my favorite one yet. Had a great tutorial, weighted average, and even got that bonus triumph, which I wasn't planning on teaching. But it will be coming out eventually in a video, because people love triumphs. But whew. Should I do a round of darts? Throw a few darts? My country doesn't have a thing called buying online. I don't know what to tell you, my man. Maybe someone can send you can buy it for you and send it to you or something. I don't know, man. Like, it's tough. Buying online now, it's the way of the future. I wish I could give you a hand, but I mean, private lesson. We can look into some false shuffles, stuff like that. That's an option. I'm just deciding whether I prefer parlor magic rather than close-up. What are your thoughts on parlor? I mean, parlor's great because it's similar to close-up, but I'm still always going to love close-up magic. That's my first love. It's what I love to do. It's the most organic to me. People can feel it the most. You can get the best reactions. You can really change people's lives with close-up magic. I love close-up mentalism, you know, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, parlor's cool though. I mean, parlor, it's a different, the style's not like, I just love the street magic organic style, right? Like, you can, but I'm sure like someone, if someone already hasn't, could bring that aesthetic to the parlor scene. But again, it's just generally not that. And you know, there's the ropes and the silk and not stuff that I enjoy to do personally, but yeah, the mini stage is very cool, you know. It gives that sense of like less heckling because we listen to this guy. He's you know it kind of adds that element. Like even now when I perform on the street, I can tell sometimes when I walk up to people, they're like, "Who's this guy?" Probably think I'm some amateur, and then I blow the socks off them, and they're like, "Wow, that's not at all what I was expecting." Right? That's so good, stuff like that. So. I definitely hear you. Kind of get that instant credibility almost from having a stage, but yeah. Whew. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Another great live stream. I really appreciate it. I gotta go eat. Gotta stretch. Gotta start to warm up. Get ready for practice. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll try to get some more live streams as soon as I can because I quite enjoy them and they're a lot of fun. So. We also got to break down that Reddit thread because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, close-up I perform, but on a mini stage. Okay, yeah. So close-up's great. I mean, I don't feel like having the mini stage is nice. I hear what you're saying for sure. Okay, well, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. You know, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And I will catch you guys in the next stream. Have a good one.